Cool. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Chris, can I share something really
Go
quick?
for it. Go for it.
So, again, as you know, I learned Agile first. I went through OTO, and I did their certified Scrum practitioner course. So I learned Agile first, and so in that course, they really, really stressed the importance of, just like you say, answering their question, not our question, right? The one we have in our mind that we use every day. And so I really do recommend that if you want to learn Agile really quickly and in a way that will make a lot of sense to you, but it spans across the broad spectrum of what Agile is. If everyone would just read the Scrum Guide like Chris has recommended, I'm telling you, it will click in your head. Those fundamental things of how Agile works are in that Scrum Guide. And I think the Scrum Guide is only like 23 pages long. And it's a very good read. It's a good read. So I highly recommend to everyone, please go read that. The other thing that I will say, I started working with Chris last month in September, and the the understanding and the way I answer questions now versus when I first started with him, because project management in and of itself was a challenge for me to wrap my brain around. But agile I get, right? But it's different. And so if you just keep coming to these sessions, pay attention to what he's saying and apply what he's saying. I promise you, these tests will get easier for you. You will be able to grasp the concepts easier. Okay, bottom line, I think it's been like since September when I started in his session, like 7 people have taken and passed that PMP exam. If they can do it, y'all, we can do it. All right. We can do it. Just pay attention to what he's saying and he'll get us there. Okay. And I'm about ready to test. So yeah, it's all good.
He's blushing. He's blushing. You just can't see the color.
Thanks for that. Hey. I say, I say less. I say less. Let's go. Let's get to training. That's a good. I'm motivated now. No pressure. No pressure. No pressure. So we took the quick fire for 4 and 6, and now we're gonna dive in. So what does that score mean? A lot of you the first exam, like, hey, what does these scores mean? So if you're scoring 9 or 10, then you're grasping the concepts really well and the mindset. The 7 to 8, you're at a good spot, but you need to just touch on some areas and just do a little bit of reading, and you will be okay. If you're below 7, then we need to talk about some things and maybe just ask some more questions about what you are having some time with, and then we could go from there. So today we're going into the a project task. Hold on. This is this the right slide deck? This don't look right. Give me a second. Oh, okay. Objectives. Okay. All right. I thought it looked like, but anyway, this module, this is about the people domain, is getting those foundational concepts together. Like we talked about, EEFs, OPAs, the organizational structure, those are important. We have to understand those to develop our understanding of the project management framework. Big word we've been using a lot: collaboration, servant leadership, emotional intelligence, effective communication. 80% of your work as a project manager is communicating. Communication solves problems. If we're not communicating, then uh, I don't feel like I'm sharing, right? Give me a second here.
You are now.
I gotta put this thing on airplane mode so people don't bother us. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I'm sharing now. Okay, thanks for that. I felt like I was like, hey, I don't think I'm showing my slides. So, yes, this is just an overview of objectives for this whole domain and where we're trying to get to. Before we really dive into the processes, understanding leadership, understanding how we should be dealing with people, and understanding the leadership concepts, how we're going to engage with stakeholders, and also not only stakeholders, but vendors and outside parties that will contribute to our project. So those are the concepts we have to develop and understand so we could connect with everyone through mainly our leadership. I always look at project management not only as it's not all processes and workflow, but it's leadership. That's our soft skills, how we communicate, how we negotiate, how we collaborate, conflict management, all those things. So here are the references that we will be dealing with. Now, I know you all have PDFs, but I suggest getting a hard copy if you can. Get yourself a copy of the PMBOK guide in paper and the process groups practice guide. It will save you a lot of heartache. I'm just not a fan of the PDFs. I think it's a little bit too much content. But if you have a good technique of working through it, one thing I want to note that there are two books within the PMBOK guide. So the first bullet says the standards for project management. And then you have the PMBOK guide itself, right? So there's two books, Connor, and one book. So when I make a reference to the standards of project management, that section really just talks about the project management principles. And then when you actually get into the PMBOK guide, that's where we start talking about the performance domains, right? We start talking about the performance domain. So I just want to bring that to everyone's attention that there is actually two books in there. So you have a series of pages that will start and the numbering will start all over again. And so I just want to make sure when I present a page number that we're in the right book from there. So cool. So here we talked a little bit about that. So is everybody good on EEFs and OPAs? Good, thumbs up in the chat. Give me a thumbs up because I can't see all your faces. So we're going to talk in the chat today. So if you're good on those areas, organizational structures, give me a thumbs up. Just kind of want to see where everybody's at. Role of the project manager. Cool. Conflict resolutions. Yep. Leadership styles. We should be good on leadership styles, right? We should know what leadership mastery style we should be working in, and understand which ones are not good for us in the environment in which we're working in. So, question for you, Keith. You have a question? I saw your thumbs up. Okay. So here's a poll question: which topic challenged you the most this past week? Go ahead and drop it in the chat. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Role of the PM. Okay. What I suggest is first go into the PMBOK and read those sections a little bit more. I will go through those right now. Not right now, but I will go through those again and kind of talk through them with you and see how see where you're at. So we'll revisit. I just want to get a feel of the room and see where everybody is with that. So here we are. Task 4, empower team members. I would take out your exam content outline and go to page 4. On page 4, we're on task 4, empower team members and stakeholders. All right. I suggested that as we're going through this process, it's 15 pages printed out, and keep it by you so you could understand where we are in the process and where we're trying to go. And to empower stakeholders, empower team members, we have to do some organization. And one, too, I think somebody shared it in the group. Last night, I was watching the school app and somebody talked about the RACI chart, the responsibility, accountability matrix versus a RACI. And I was just start at a high level. The RAM is the concept, right? Responsibility, yes, that was Jared. Responsibility, accountability matrix. That's the overarching concept of making sure you have people assigned to tasks and making sure you hold them responsible and making sure that you're following up, that they're being informing of changes, and then maybe consulting with others as they work through those processes. So that's the RAM, right? So the RACI is a type of chart that helps us put a little bit more detail to that, right? So in this example, hopefully you could see it. It has project tasks on the left column, and up top, we have product owner, business analysis. Those are the functions or those departments that will be responsible for the task on the left. At another level, for your project team, those sections like business analysts, you could have them actually named to people in your team. So Chris, Jared, Robin, Melissa, Jeff will have those items attached to their names, and you will be either responsible, accountable, consult, or inform. So responsible, that person's responsible for the task, right? So the project manager, the company is responsible for the project, whether it's a success or it's a bust, right? But they have made the project manager, assigning the project manager to the project, the project manager in relations with the stakeholders in the organization is accountable, right? That's the person who is accountable for making sure things go right or things go wrong. No, it is what it is. You'll get the slides. Just make note of it. Just take notes. Just take notes. And that's why I'm talking through it a little bit. So RACI, responsibility, accountable, consult, inform. Consult meaning that they really not have too much. You just might need to check in with them and consult with them. They don't have an active role in that and that task. And then inform is that, hey, just let me know what's going on. We've heard that before. That's informing. Just let me know what's going on. Keep me in the loop. Just keep that person in the loop. And so based off of those four items of responsibility, accountability, and consult, inform, that's how you're going to organize your work on a project, right? I don't want to get too much into processes because that's for the next domain, and we'll get into more of, the predictive approach, the agile approach, hybrid, and all those things. So the RACI is one, not only to track work and accountability, but it also empowers people because it helps you organize the work to people's strength and help you with a little bit of a decision making, and the team can see the work and see who's responsible for a task. That improves communications, improves collaboration on a team, so everybody can see what's going on. And then if somebody's dropping the ball, you're kind of on Front Street if you're dropping the ball, right? Because it pretty much tells you who's responsible for what task. So the RACI is one tool that can be used for empowerment when it comes to empowering our team members as task 4. So when you're in this exam content outline, these are tasks. The way to receive this, other than it just being a list of tasks, but these are things, according to the Project Management Institute, that they say we should be able to do as project management. We should be able to inspire and empower the teams and stakeholders to move forward and help the project be a success. From a stakeholder's perspective, we should empower them to help them make decisions and lead them or direct them. Lead them down the right path. It would be correct. Lead them down the right path with our leadership skills, servant leadership, being a servant to the stakeholder, being a servant to our team members, and then more so collaborating with the vendors, because you want those people to be able to do their job so your project is a success, because you can't do it, right? So you have to do what you need to do to empower them. Let me see. See if I'm missing anything here. So from you guys' experience, maybe one or two if you want to, have you seen something like this before in reality? Who's used a RACI chart of some sort? I know I would say the first RACI chart I saw was probably our little pegboards in our team room where we just check in and out. And then we have an assignment there. Who's doing what for the week? Like who's prepping the guns to go to the range, and we have that board up there. Who's picking up the vehicles at the motor pool? So in my team room, that's probably my first view of a RACI chart, just laying out duties and responsibilities. We probably wasn't calling it that, but the duty roster is a form of a RACI chart, right? This RACI chart is one style. So you have it's a RAS-CI, which is R-A. I wrote it down. RAS, with S being supportive, consult and inform. And then you have a FRAM, which is a functional responsibility accountability matrix. And then you have a PFAM, which is a projectized responsibility accountability matrix. Now for the exam, don't stress yourself about those. Only thing you need to know for the exam for sure is the responsibility accountability matrix is the overarching concept of assigning tasks to project team members, stakeholders, whoever's working on a project. And then the RACI chart is a detailed version of that responsibility accountability matrix, right? The RACI is a type of RAM, right? I think that's what I was explaining to Jared in the chat. So so when it comes to the RAM, that is the concept. That is what you should be understanding when you see this term for in any question. Jose, go for it.
Yeah, now you started to get into it and explain a bit more. So just understanding the differences between RAM and the RACI. And so RAM is just the overarching kind of like the general framework that's gonna pinpoints the projects and tasks or what deliverable with the team members. And then the RACI shows like who's responsible for. Well, it shows the more detailed, a bit more specific of the RAM, right? It's a bit more detailed. So yes. RAM is like maybe an op order. It just shows generic, like, look, we have a plan, and then below that, then you just start individually, like, what is each of those sections actually responsible for? The ins and the eaches or whatever, what do they call it? all that. So
Yeah. No, you just sparked something here. So you said op order. So think about the task org at the
yeah,
top. It's like these are the people who are on the mission. Then you go to coordinated instructions. That's the RACI.
that's the racing. Got it.
Because it's like, hey, this unit will do this. This unit will do that. That's the RACI. So the RAM is the task order, and the coordinated instructions are the details of who's doing what on the mission. Thanks for that. Yeah. That's it right there, brother. Anybody else grasping this concept? Cool. All right, cool. All right, so next, just a little bit more ownership, accountability, delivery, and establishing, making sure that people take on the responsibility, own it, do it, review it, and improve it as it says. And that's your job. Once again, referring back to the role of a project manager, really quick, let me pause. Page 189 in your PMBOK guide, there's a little bit of an explanation more on the RACI in black and white, so you can see there. And you could look through the book. It vaguely mentions it. And then also in the practice guide, there's a little bit more when you get into actual the predictive approach. The RACI is talked about a lot. So I just wanted to mention that. But back to what we're doing here for our empowerment also falls in line as your role as a project manager, is that you get online and you are there to empower them through leadership and supporting them and moving any roadblocks and challenges the teams may have in their path that they can't remove themselves, but because of your position and your authority, you could clear those pathways for them and help them do their job, right? Keep all the noise away from them so they could focus on 100% signal. Question for you: how does your team know they are trusted? What have you guys done? So I'm gonna tap into the reality. What do you do in the reality to make sure your team knows you're trusted? You could drop it in the chat. Feedback. Yep. Communicate. Self-starter. Empower to make decisions. Delegate. Less micromanaging. Cool. That'll definitely piss people off. Give autonomy. Yeah. But I hear that a lot. People want it, but as a leader, when do you actually do that? When you want to give that autonomy? As a leader, when do you know it's a good time to do that? Mature teams, okay. Daily stand-ups after assigning work. Define roles, feedback, performance. Yeah. I would say, just from my perspective, you have to, over time and space, because it's not where it takes some time to get to that level, or based off that person's experience, is probably the most, I would say, be the best answer based off of that person's experience within the environment. If they're not used to an environment, you want to keep that person a little bit closer and give them a little bit more oversight and not let them run free. So that would probably be the best time to exercise that. So here's some exam tips for delegating. Like I've always said, and we've been talking about, PMI values collaboration, collaborative empowerment, not hero management, right? On the exam, if escalate versus delegate are both options, choose delegate with guardrails, right? So just think about that. Mindset exam. How am I solving the problem, the issue, right? unless that seems like the best thing to do, but escalate is always, if the question doesn't say, hey, you've gone through a couple iterations and nothing has worked, you want to bring in other people, then that might be, but I don't know. But the notion is we want to pump our brakes when it comes to escalating and think about what we're doing to make sure we're solving the problem. Empowerment connects directly to team autonomy and value delivery. So the more you empower your team, in theory, the better they will perform. And then you will be able to put them in a position to where they can start making those decisions on themselves and producing value for the organization and it makes your job easier as a project manager. So in some organizations, project managers, they come together with a project team and they work for that project, and then the team is disbanded. But then in some organizations, and more so in your projectized organizations, those individuals work together all the time. And so they get accustomed to working with each other. They know how their teammate to the left or right operates and thinks. And then they're more supportive of, hey, I'm done. Is there something I can help you with? Or, hey, let's work on this together. I know you are smart in this area. Can you help me with it? And so then the team starts collaborating on their own. And you, as a project manager, you're just keeping the plane steady. I see Jose or Paul.
Yeah, no, yeah. So you were bringing up of like from before, like what helps enable that on teams, and I think through some of the systems that are built into, say, like for agile or whatnot, like those, or even what we used to do, while in the military, like those daily stand-ups, short, concise, that does build up that trust, and it does give those teams that ability to take that initiative, because if everybody's on the same page, then you can kind of look over at someone else's briefing, like we're talking about what they're about to do for the day, and then as leaders of those teams, you can kind of figure out, well, that ties into this, so I know who to go talk to throughout the day. So next stand up, it's going to be a quick, reach across, talk to Todd, and then reach and talk to Chad, because we had similarities and whatever. And then that's also, then as a leader, you can start to say, well, maybe, either A, I am putting out correctly and defined tasks, so that way then it empowers them to then do that crosstalk. Or if they're not conducting that crosstalk and you're not seeing it happen on those stand-ups, then as a leader, you need to take back and say, okay, what am I not putting across? How and what details am I missing that is not coming across as empowering my team to take that initiative to conduct that crosstalk. So less coming to you throughout the day to then have to go and reach out to the other team and say, actually, by the way, Chad is working on the same thing. Go reach out to Chad, versus everybody being on the same page from the jump. And then it makes your job easier, as you can just step back and then just kind of observe. But I think that's a good opportunity to assess yourself. Are my stand-ups productive? Am I conducting it so that way everyone's on the same page with enough detail, or am I not?
No, thanks for that, man. That's you were spot on. I think your mindset is in the right place. So think about what what's said here. Think about that on an exam as you're working through these scenarios with these questions. We, the company I'm with now, we conduct daily stand-ups. It's like a virtual stand-up. It's in Slack. We do a virtual stand-up. Everybody puts their last 24 what they're doing this and any and blockers in the way. And then with the CEO, I'm usually doing a face-to-face with him because I'm running the PMO. So I get a face-to-face with him on a daily. Go ahead, Paul.
So about escalation, generally speaking, a project manager never escalates. Generally speaking, it's the last resort. Like here's why I'm asking that question. I think that you gave us a question like on like one of those Wednesday nights, and the question was, end users are not using a certain, they're not using a certain tool, that was generated from the project. And the answer actually was to escalate that to shareholders because the scope is outside of the project. Is it safe to say, or how would is it safe to say that anything outside of the project should be escalated? Would that be a proper way to frame that? Or like if we got a question like that, would that be a way to respond?
Hey, Paul comes to the live chats. There's a couple more of you, and based off of what Paul just mentioned, what do you guys think my first answer is?
Put yourself in the PMI world.
Okay, another one. What do I always say first?
Separate
It
reality
depends.
from theory.
No, so we gotta assess the
collaborate.
situation. We gotta assess the situation. So there's no absolutes, right? It depends. So that question you talk, I don't remember it in detail, but the way you explained it, it sounds like an environmental factor that's affecting the project, because the way he explained that question, that is outside the control of the project manager. So if it's outside of your control, then based off of that question, first you assess, and then if you can't solve it because it's an EEF, not an OPA or some sort that's affecting your project, then you have no choice but to escalate, right? The escalation might be to PMO, to your project management office. The escalation might be to the primary stakeholder, because it's just out of your control. You're escalating to help solve the problem, but it all depends. I wouldn't say never, and I won't generalize in this world of theory with this exam. So don't never, and avoid generalizing. What I would say is the mindset for this exam, because in the real place, we won't just never escalate like that, because we're gonna have to. So with that being said, let's take a break. It's the top of the hour, wherever you are. Let's take 10, use the bathroom, and I'll be back. All right, let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. All right. Um, as you're working through the exam and your study questions, this last statement here, or this last bullet, PMI's mindset: enable people, strengthen the team, deliver value together. That's the concept. If somebody, for example, there are some questions out there that says scenarios, the individual is not feeling well, they don't feel like they're being fulfilled in their career. You have to think about how are you going to enable them to feel better about themselves and feel better about the work that they are doing. Most of those scenarios would say the individual is their work performance is going down, right? So what are you going to do to help boost their work performance so the team can continue on the project? And so the options usually are like, well, replace them, or tell them to suck it up, or, one of those things. But for this exam, that's the wrong, that would be not the best choice. That would be not the best choice. So just keep that in mind when you're dealing with people. It's rely in the people section. I would say after you learn the leadership skills and understand the way, the methodology with stakeholder management, dealing with your project team, understanding the work environment you're in, you shouldn't have a difficult time answering these questions. You shouldn't have a difficult time. So test yourself just by a show of thumbs up or thumbs down. This whole week since we started, let's say Tuesday, I'm not going to even count Monday. Since Tuesday, how many of you have actually practiced at least 5 to 10 questions per day? Let me see it. Gold star. Right? Gold star. Right. Yeah, practice. Les Brown says, practice makes improvement. So that's how we will improve. We have to practice. So if you're not doing that, I suggest start doing it. Like non-negotiable, right? Get it.
Where do you find them? I'm calling myself out.
I mean, so one is you have the ChatGPT link that I share with you, and it's on PMI's website, or you can download a version of ChatGPT and just say, hey, give me 5 PMP exam type questions, scenario based off of tasks 1 through 7, or just on the people domain. Give me 10 questions based on the people domain of the exam content outline. And you could actually load the PDF of the exam content outline in that thread and tell it to read it so it understands exactly what you're talking about. All right. And so you play with that. You could just Google free exam questions online. There's tons of sites that are offering free exams questions. Or if you have a book, a study guide, you can get them there. Or you could download the Study Hall PMP exam prep app. Right?
Hey, Chris,
Yes.
I don't know if some of the people on here took the last course, but in the Act Now community, Tom and David have this whole video on Notebook LM.
Yeah.
So they could always put all the PDFs and all the videos and all the stuff in Notebook LM and have it generate all of that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So there's many ways to do it. So
Notebook LM is definitely nice because you can also, as you're chunking sections out, the podcast function is
yeah,
really that's
I've
crazy.
never used that one. I have to check that out. I have
Yeah,
to check
it's
that out.
nice.
But no, you should be testing yourself daily with questions. There, if you want it on your mobile, you could download the app. There's many apps out there. I recommend PMI's app. I don't get a kickback for it, but I'm a member, so I've been, and so that's what I promote. So, but yeah, you should be doing this every day. Every day should be doing this just to get in practice